What's good, people, traders, and dedicated gold chasers? Welcome back to another video at the Modern Day Trader, and we hope you're feeling good, you're feeling great, and you're feeling amazing. This week was a bit of a adjustment period for me. As you guys can see, I've taken two trades, sorry, and we took two losses, but it was adjustment in that I had to, first of all, just get acclimatized with the markets. And what I can say is that the trades that I've taken were, in my opinion, really good trades. And like just trying to stack the odds up in my favor. And ultimately, it is what it is. What I'm noticing now with my plan is that breakout trades at the breaks of higher highs in this current period and current conditions on pound yen is not necessarily working the best. Uh, so with that being said, we're gonna just jump straight into the trades. Now, let me just take you guys to something. So you're looking right now at my bias building. My first trade was on Monday, week number 2. So if you look at week number 2, you can see that we have a 78. So my first trade, I took it based on 4H correlation. We had a 78% chance of potentially seeing price action just playing out in that same direction. So if you're bearish and you have 4H correlation coming into the session, there is a high chance that price will then continue moving in that direction, right? So with that being said, obviously I went into doing my analysis and we were pretty bullish on the day. We go to the before picture. So that's the before picture. Right. Oh no, this was the before picture. Here we go. Uh, so we're pretty bearish on the session, and you come into the session. There's no news, number one, and you just coming into the session anticipating that if we do get a bearish push to the downside and we break previous structural lows, that we should then see price action continue. Now you can ultimately see that yes, price did break and close below, and we closed bearish on this 4H candle. However, what you can see is that price action actually took me out. So that first pushed to the upside and then it pushed to the downside. And even if it just pushed to the downside, I feel like I would have gotten taken out at break even. Unfortunately, just going on to the 1 minute time frame, what you can see here is that we created a low, we pulled back, created a lower high, and then in like triggering my entry. And when price action had pulled back, we then pushed to the downside, just about missing my 1-to-1, and I didn't get my alert at all at that point. And then price action pushed to the upside, and that was that. We then pretty much like just walked away from the market for that day, and just accepting that like, is this the right trade? Yes, it is. That was the. So if you take a look here, you see that we took shorts on the day, uh, 193670, 193670. Okay, that's perfect. So anticipation of continuations pretty much in the next 4H. Now the next 4H did close bearish. Just unfortunate that, well, ultimately I didn't even get a break even, took a L, and it just is what it is, right? Like all you can do is start to learn from this. Now what I can learn is that everything was executed perfectly on this trade. Uh, Going on to the 1 minute time frame where we can just like see a bit more detail, right? So just looking at market structure just in general, if we say this was our last known higher high, we have a higher low that formed these higher highs, we then pull back. Now you can see that these are all equal highs right here, so we didn't necessarily form a higher high. We had a break of structure here, pull back, another push to the downside, pull back, and then if we do break structure, you can then see that we form a new lower low. So my anticipation where my like previous higher low should be, or lower high, sorry, is correct, right? So there's nothing wrong with this position at all. I can't find anything wrong with this position. Uh, what I can say though is that what I've learned now is that the confidence on and the feel on breakout trades is pretty low, as I mentioned now. So until my confidence grows again, I think I'll be risking 0.25% or even 0.1% just to gain the confidence again. And then once I can see a couple winners, three, four winners on the breakout trades, I will then start to raise my risk gradually to then see that price is moving in our direction, right? So that was trade number one. I don't see anything wrong with this trade at all. And this was just a really good trade. Really, really good trade. Trade number two was buys, right? So we had the daily and the 4H agreeing on this day. And if you come, this was Wednesday. If you come to the chart, you can see daily and 4H has an 83% chance of actually playing out. And what had happened was, so if I go to the 15-minute, you can see price action broke above an area of interest, and then I'm anticipating the price will continue to the upside. Now, unfortunately, price, as I mentioned with the breakouts now, pound yen is just not continuing that push to the upside for some odd reason, and it's just about adjusting to the market, right? So I stacked up my bias and I had everything together, and I like believe that the next 4H wasn't a close bullish, and there's a high chance that I could get into buys to ultimately then see price action push into the upside. Anticipated that price action will continue. As you can see in the before picture, we formed a high. We then pulled back to form a higher low. You can see all of these candles are lower than that higher high. Price action then triggered me in on this. Also, we need to talk about the spread on FTMO, bro. The spread is actually mad. Like sometimes it goes up to 3 pips, bro. That's mad. When I was doing the challenge, it was like 1.2, 1.1 pip, sometimes even as low as 1 pip, bro. Now all of a sudden when I'm on the live account, like spread is increased. It's just mad. Uh okay, commissions at least stay the same, but okay. Anyway, we then form the higher high, which means this is now a valid higher low, and I'm anticipating that the higher low should be protected, right? Price action then pulled back and took me out, ultimately ending the week down to R. And yeah, guys, what I can say, the adjustments that I'm going to make this week is I'm dropping my risk to 0.1% to 0.2% on breakout trades just until I get that confidence back. And then on double tops and double bottoms, I'll still keep a 0.5% moving forward. Now, just looking at this week's what could potentially happen for this week, we can start on the weekly. Now you can see, let me just remove all the drawings. Now what you can see is pretty much that this weekly candle had closed bearish, right? Now we are in an interesting area, not necessarily from the weekly. Now, for me personally, I'm bearish on the weekly on the basis that if I just take out my drawing tool, so we have a higher low, we then have a higher high, we have, so then this is now my new higher high pretty much. That's my new higher low, higher high, push up obviously. We have the higher high, higher low, and then that's the big push to the upside. So ultimately, what you can see is that when we had this push here, you can see we broke structure right there. So we formed our first low, right? So price action can obviously still push up because we didn't form a new lower low, right? Now, from a weekly perspective, we broke structure. We have the intent to potentially push to the downside, and with that being said, if you just take a look and you probably place a fib on this, it will probably be in around the 50% area. So you can see that price action is in and around that 50% area. So that basically means that we did pull back to equilibrium pretty much. And what I am anticipating long-term wise is for push to the downside. Now, whether we get all the way up back into these points of interest, I'm not like too clear on that. With this candlestick closing like this, I think there's a high chance that price could obviously push to the downside, right? Uh, and the reason why I'm saying that is plain and simply because more often than not, you'll see like a doji candle in the area of interest. There's a high chance that price action could then continue in that direction, right? So now with that being said, dropping down onto the daily, this is what looks interesting, right? You can clearly see the price action has been pretty much playing around with, I'd say, I don't want to point out that specific highs, but this is clearly an area of interest that I can clearly see there's a lot of people thinking this right here is resistance and price should then push to the downside just on the basis that we're failing to break above for quite some time from the 27th of September. So that is a period of, let me just see, where's this thing? That's quite a lengthy period, right? So if I just take date range, so from there to there, that's 14 days of information where price action has failed to break above an area in the market, right? Now, my personal opinion is that since we essentially failed to break above that area, I anticipate that price action will break this area and push up into a known point of interest slightly above that, collect this liquidity. So obviously there's going to be people that's anticipating buys above here, and then to continue essentially, then what we're going to do is we're going to push up, and then I'm anticipating that we will push back down for this week. That's my personal view of what I think could potentially happen, where you're looking at something somewhat with a push to the upside and then a push to the downside, and then something somewhat like that. Something somewhat like that. That's what I'm anticipating over a long term. For this week, I'm just anticipating a push up, collecting these stops, and then pushing to the downside. Now, if we drop to the 4H, you'll be able to see it quite clear. You can see that we've basically pretty much been ranging. After we broke these lows, we failed to break above this high right here. So in theory, we still quote unquote bearish because we broke structure to the downside. But I do think there's a lot of liquidity lying above these areas here. And a lot of people just probably having something somewhat like this being drawn on their chart and saying there's a chance that price action is going to go down. With that being said, you have this area that people's considering resistance. I think this resistance area is going to be blown out the water, and then a potential push to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for this week. I'm looking for a push to the upside into this daily point of interest, and then a push to the downside to see price basically just crash to the downside, right? So that's what I'm looking out for. With this price is just quite choppy at the moment on GJ. Now you can execute on intraday trades, because you can see within a day you do have big impulsive moves to the upside. But right now at the current moment on the 4H time frame, price is quite corrective. So you just need to exercise caution in the markets. Don't overtrade. Wait for more impulsive and more uh just more trendy conditions, and once that happens you will then be able to essentially take into account and be able to take advantage of that movement in one direction. So yeah guys, that's my view for the week. I'm anticipating a quick push to the upside, as I mentioned, quick push to the upside, and then a big push to the downside pretty much. Now, whether this happens this week or next week, my anticipation is Monday, Tuesday, push to the upside, midweek reversal, and then a push to the downside to then have the weekly pretty much closing bearish on the weekly time frame, and then we'll see how that forms over the week. Now, very important is just to take a look at what we have at Forex Factory. Now you can see Monday pretty much clean. We have a Japan bank holiday, which is just to note that Asian session might be a bit quiet. Then you have pound news on the Tuesday, and then pound news on the Wednesday. And so Wednesday we have pound news. Tuesday we have pound news. So we'll basically be trading the US session there. We'll be trading the US session on Wednesday. On Thursday, do we have any pound news? On Thursday, we have no pound news, but we do have USD news. So we will only be trading London session there. On Friday, we have pound news, but no New York red folder news. So pretty much what we will be doing is we'll be trading Monday, and then Tuesday, New York, Wednesday, New York, No, Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday, New York. Tuesday, New York. Wednesday, New York. Thursday, London. Friday, New York session. And that's what we'll be looking at, guys. So ultimately, we have roughly, I think, 7 out of 10 sessions this week that are tradable right now, just based off from there being no red folder or high impact news in those sessions. And whether the numbers align or not is another thing. But we have already executed on 2 of the 7 potential trades that we can take for the month. We'll be able to see whether we can make those 5 count. I really just want to keep in my mind the fact that I don't want to deviate anything more than 10% or over 10% on a error scale with regards to my trading plan. Like I don't want to make anything more than 2 personal errors compared to what my trading plan is. That's the plan. And that's what we're trying to do right now. The equity curve doesn't look the best for the month. 2 trades, 2 losses. It just is what it is. Hopefully over the next 5 trades for the month, we can turn this equity curve around and make every trade count and just like skew the odds in our favor and make it a better result this month specifically. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week and I hope you guys have a profitable one. From your boy Marcy at the Modern Day Trader. Please don't forget that your unmatched perspicacity coupled with your sheer indefatigability makes you a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. So peace out, guys, and enjoy the week.